Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching another episode of Conversation. And today's conversation topic is knowing yourself and why it's important to know yourself. And for this topic, we invited Mrinal all the way from India to talk with us about this. So, hi, Mrinal.
Hi, Pirat. Thank you for having me over, and it's an honor to be on your podcast and share and speak about this topic.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we're going to start the topic?
Sure. As Pirat has already introduced me, my name is Mrinal. I'm from India, and I am a technologist. I'm a biotechnologist by education, and I have a deep interest in knowing and learning about people, and that got me into the space of coaching. I've been an ICF credentialed coach for past 5 years, and I work with executives, leaders on transformation. And recently, I've launched a project for women where I work with working women, especially working mothers, to help them transition to different phases of life that they experience, in their journeys, right from job transition to becoming a married woman to, becoming a parent. So, in all of these transitions, how can she stay herself, know herself, be herself, honor herself, and still pursue all her roles and responsibilities with the highest integrity and fulfillment.
Oh, that's really interesting because I didn't think about that part. Because knowing yourself, like we're going to talk about it, it is knowing yourself, but I never even thought about it. Like you change when you're having all those changes in your life, what you were just bringing up, yourself changes. But you don't, maybe that's maybe the thing, like you were saying, how much should it change and what should not change, you know?
Absolutely.
Just like you said, we have this one personality, now we become moms, and then we lose that other personality and we are just moms.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, let's start talking about it.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, what is the main reason for people to understand why they should know about like who they are?
I think the biggest thing, which is also established through a lot of scientific research, is that there is a direct connection between authenticity and fulfillment. And what is authenticity is being true to ourselves. Like by definition, if we go, authenticity is I know myself and I will stay true to myself. When somebody is true to themselves, they are bound to live a fulfilled life. Now, we hear a lot of these conversation around being authentic, being vulnerable, being themselves. Uh, in the end, why this is so important is because it eventually links to the ultimate purpose of living, and that is fulfillment and happiness. And that is established by a lot of researchers around behavioral sciences, human psychology, and there is a direct connection. So I don't think that we need a bigger reason to kind of validate that we need to know ourselves, right? Because if we know ourselves, we live fulfilled, right? Um, the peripheral reasons are many. For example, if I know myself, I would be operating on clarity. I would be more confident about myself. I would be clear on what I want in my life, the direction, the path, everything becomes clear. If I know myself, I know what strengths do I have, how can I put them to use, and then definitely success in aligned, right? The third dimension to it is definitely the relationships. If I know myself, I know my needs, I know how to honor my needs, I would have a more healthy dynamics in my relationships, right? So I think it's like holistic living calls for the first parameter, and that is knowing ourselves. And it's so much more important to understand ourselves than to know anybody else, I believe.
Hmm. But most people, they already like they probably think that they already know themselves. They think that, but they don't. When you start actually asking questions, then they don't know, like, then they don't know the answers.
Yeah, very
It's just,
true.
I think they're living by like cultural norms, and that's what they just do without knowing if it's actually true for them.
Sure. Yeah. I think knowing yourself, um, even before knowing ourselves, we must understand what this knowing looks like, right? What is it that I need to know, right? So I think it can be simplified, right? The life, and we are very simple from the pretext of, if we can anchor on one thing, a lot of things are going to fall in place, right? For example, I'll tell you, you can know your values. That's the first thing. If you can know what you value the most, right, you will be able to align everything around it as if it is the guideline for you to operate in life. The second dimension that people can understand or allow themselves to know is anchoring and understanding how they are feeling, right? We often worry about what am I thinking, but that thinking isn't that much of a problem. The problem or the challenge or the question henceforth is, when you think that, how do you feel? And when you feel that, who do you become? Right? So if we talk about it in parenting context, if we talk about it in professional context, if we talk about it in our personal lives, relationships, when we are thinking, we are feeling something. And because we are feeling something, we are doing something. When we align all of these things, it makes us who we are. The personality automatically gets reflected like that, right? So it's simple. If you can know what is it that I value, I will align my thoughts, align my feelings, align my actions around that. And again, holistic living, it is authenticity.
Hmm. Well, that made me think about right now because a lot of people, and that's different. A lot of people grow up with different families or something, and uh, they grow up with a negative view of themselves. So that's
Yeah.
probably not true, their true self, but they have somehow like like cut it on themselves the negative view of themselves. So how they can
Yeah.
change if they have negative view of themselves into either like finding their real self or changing that to the positive self.
Sure. I think this is a classic case of societal conditioning, right? So, to simplify that, I would say that, when we live through our life, when we were born like a blank piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
And when we started experiencing life experiences through our own, eyes, all the receptions that we were having through our senses, and what we were being taught by our parents, by our relatives, by people we were interacting with, schools, colleges, all of these things, right? We started writing certain notes on that blank sheet of paper that started becoming the definition of who we are, right? And that is where we understand the association of worth, self worth, who we are. What is it that we are worth of? Yeah. The classic case of societal conditioning makes us believe that we are our actions, we are what we achieve, we are that degree that we hold, we are that success that we have encountered, we are that position that we held, right? But
Mhm.
when we were born, we didn't have any of these things, right? And it's very important for us to understand and know that all these things, which are parameters that have been enforced on us by societal definitions of worthiness, came only later. You were born worthy, you were born a full person. And when you were born full person, you deserved love, you deserved your needs as human, you deserved a fulfilled life, you deserved to be yourself. So
Mhm.
you were a whole and complete version of yourself, right? Before these definitions came on that blank sheet of paper.
Mhm.
So you can do better if you feel worthy in your own skin, minus these definitions, and don't get encased and boxed in those definitions that society is telling you. For example, how you look. Somebody might call you beautiful, somebody might call you ugly. but you have a different definition. We go to so many different global stations, different countries, right? The definition and beauty standards keep shifting. That itself is a testimony that beauty is a perceived notion, how we classify it in society. There is no fixed definition that was given to you at the time of birth, right? It's not. It's dependent on cultures, it depends on the human perception, the interactions that we are having. And same is the case with the profession, same is the case with the success that we define. So I
Mhm.
think every definition of success, of fulfillment, the person who is living that life owns the sole right to define it for themselves. So societal conditioning definitely plays a lot of role. And if we can associate ourselves deep rootedly into that self-worth, that I am worthy, I am complete, and I am whole as I was born, will give us so much more confidence and validation to pursue our dreams with more conviction and confidence.
Mhm. So let's go get people already start thinking about it right away. Like, what would be let's give maybe 5 questions that they can start with asking themselves.
Sure. Why not? That would be a great idea, right? You're doing some live coaching right away.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. I think the first thing that I would say people to ponder upon is that what is it that you value? And if it becomes very difficult for you to answer, what is it that you value? Because we've talked about, sometimes we feel we know, but we don't know, right? So ask yourself, where is it that you feel most happy? Where is it that you feel most satisfaction during the day? So reflect on your day's activities and answer this question that during the day, the things that you did, the time that you spent, what was it that appeared to be most fulfilling and most happy? You'll definitely get an answer to what is it that you value. You might not get the top fives for yourself, but you'll definitely get one or two from there, right? So the first question to answer is what is it that you value? Where do you spend most of your time? Where do you like to spend most of your time? If you spend time in, say, for example, reading, listening to podcasts, something like that, right? Maybe one of your strong values is learning. If you spend a lot of time working, contributing, maybe one of your strong values is contributing. If you spend time having conversations, talking to people, having meaningful, deep conversations, maybe one of your deep values or strongest values is connection, right? So see all of these things, where you spend time and where you feel fulfilled. What is it that you enjoy in your life? It'll definitely give you some clue into what you value. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first question that I would say. It would be on my top list always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe something more like personal as well for the next one.
Yeah. Why not? So the next question can be, what is it that you feel drained with? Right. The first one was what you enjoy and what you get feel energized with. The second one is knowing what is it that doesn't go down well with you. This will also give you a sneak peek into understanding who you are not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the second question would
Well,
be,
that's good.
what drains your energy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same way when it's important to know who you are, it's also important to know who you're not.
Yeah.
But those,
And sometimes, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, when we are confused in who we are, knowing who we are not actually clarifies a lot of those no's that we have to put in perspective.
hmm
Yeah. So, yeah, that would be the second question, definitely. What
hmm
drains your energy?
yeah, and because, but people still kind of like they have to do those things, even maybe they have to like still do those things that they're not because of culture. They have to find a way around it.
Yeah,
Maybe put boundaries.
absolutely.
So
Right.
in all these ways, boundaries for that. But now they go like as a for a woman, they go through the change, and usually the change is to go from child to like a young woman, and then from that point they're going to decide if they're gonna want to be single or they want to be married. And that's
Yeah,
culturally different as well, because some cultures are more toward like you having a choice, and some cultures are more about not having a choice. Got jumped in the
abs-
background.
That's totally fine. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think choices is what shapes our life, right? As you rightly said, that sometimes we have to make that choice of doing things that do not really go down well with our values. But we have to still try to work around them because it's either coming culturally or it is coming from the place of something that we value. Why we are accepting things that are coming culturally to us is also highlighting a need for us, right? So we are accepting things from a cultural perspective because maybe we want to be included, maybe we
Mhm.
want to be accepted, right? That's the need that's coming at play. So that brings us to a very important retrospection of knowing ourselves on priorities. When you are conflicted on values versus where is it that you want to play around, you have to prioritize, and that prioritization is going to give you a perspective into which one to choose, your values, or work around those values to see how one of your value aligns with that need to adjust. For example, culturally, if somebody is like you said, required to say, um, they are very ambitious and aspirational in their career, right? But just because culturally it's not allowed to stay after say 5 p.m., right? And they work around their schedule to fit in that kind of bracket. Understand your need to do that career ambitious journey, and understand your need to fit in that cultural norm, and now see the priority. What holds the priority for you? If both of these can coexist, it's not compromise, it's
Mhm.
more of a wisdom that you are operating on, because now you are making a conscious choice to bring both of these parameters of values together for you, right? Because
Mhm.
at one side, growing on career aspects is very important for you. On the other side, being included in society is equally important for you, right? So
Mhm.
it's not a compromise, but it is a coexistence that you are creating for yourself, understanding your needs and your priorities. Because if either thing goes off the radar for your life, you're not going to feel fulfilled. If you're not accepted, you're going to feel deprived of that acceptance. If you don't pursue that career, you're going to feel deprived of that ambition. Yeah. So bring both of these things together and see how they coexist and feel okay with you. And then honor that choice. That's what you have to do. Because you know, both of these are your needs and your values. You're not doing it for somebody else, you're doing it for your own needs and your own values.
I think, but that's what I think. Like, I guess, like most people get scared of,
Yeah.
because they get scared of like that's not being like accepted, like to do like a little bit different from what everybody else does, even though they feel like this is what they feel like they should be doing.
Yeah.
It's culturally different. Like a lot of people I see, they had problems with people. Like I have friends who decided not to have any kids, but they culturally, like, and their parents or somebody, they just keep on saying like, when you're gonna have kids. But I think if the person feels that they don't want to have kids, I think they should be respected for that, because that's a strong thing to know about yourself,
Yeah.
and not bring
Yeah.
a kid into a family where it's not like 100% wanted. You know,
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
people should honor that when somebody makes some kind of different decision that's not culturally common, we should be more understanding towards it.
Yeah. And I think you highlighting a very important point here, especially concerning women. I think most important thing for a woman is to be first okay with her own choice, right? Because when we are not okay with our own choice, if say in my culture, having a kid is a compulsive, like you are mentioning, right? And I'm totally against it for whatever reason, right? I know it the best, right? It's my life. I get to choose what I want to do with my life, right? So
Mhm.
the moment this thought comes to you that this is what I want to do with my life, you need to have that courage to honor your own need and understand why you want to choose this thing, right? And then be okay with it, because there is going to be a resistance, because your needs you understand, they don't understand. So when we are making those choices that are meeting our own needs, the first thing is that we need to stop putting that compulsion of acceptance from people, that when I make that choice, people should accept, right?
Mhm.
It's not their needs. We have to first
Mhm.
understand we are seeking that external validation because somewhere we are trying to impose our decisions and our choices to be their choices. My choice is my choice, my responsibility to honor that choice. If I am choosing something for myself, it's my responsibility to then accept the pros and cons that are coming with it. It's going to come with a cost.
Mhm.
Anything new would always come with a cost. When we make that revolutionary choice, we must first become ready to accept the repercussions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, saying, for example, let's take our example. You and I are coming from same culture, and I say, Pirit, I want to do this, and you hold a very different opinion around that, right? Now, me expecting you to agree with my decisions is so much harsh on you, right? Because
Mhm.
somewhere you would be then disowning your own values and your own, choices. And if I'm saying that you have the right to make that individual choice, it goes without saying that the other person also has the equal right to make their own choices. So when you make that choice for yourself to not have kids, people also have the right to accept you or not accept you. Yeah. You have to be
Mhm.
okay, to learn to be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this external validation thing comes from a very fundamental issue of not owning yourself. Because of that scared, you rightly pointed out, we're fearful. We want the best of both sides, right? We're not ready to kind of accept either side. We're not ready to accept our choices because of the fear. What if people don't accept me, right?
Mhm.
But to be accepted, many women, again, there is a very strong data around that through many researchers, which says that societal influences play very deep role in women's choices in life. It's a
Yes.
very, very well researched space, and it is so much higher and deeper as compared to the other gender.
Mhm.
Men don't care as much about societal influence, what they're going to think about them. But women put so much more weightage on this aspect, that what am I going to be perceived as? Will I be accepted? Will they be treating me well? So they put that, they run on that notion that to be accepted, I must fulfill ABC conditions, and then I would be accepted and loved. So entire life, women cuts down her needs constantly. She tries to box herself in those societal definitions so that she is accepted, right? And
Mhm.
then what happens? Because again, coming from my own experiences of working with women, even in the ages of 50 plus,
Okay.
maybe senior executive positions, right? After 50, they realize that they have lost so much of their precious time, energy, and relationships in seeking that validation. But
Mhm.
now they are tired. Now they are tired of living up to everybody else's expectations, putting everybody else's needs ahead of their needs, right? And then they're tired and frustrated. So it's like, um, they have become a volcano of that frustration, and now they are ready to kind of erupt out of it, right?
Mhm.
And then it becomes so much difficult to recondition your environment, because say for 20 years you have trained your family, your husband, to see you reprioritize them ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly at the age of 50, you start saying that, no, my needs are more important. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do this. It's so much difficult for them to accept this new you,
Mm-hmm.
because they are used to seeing a different version of you where you were so much easier. You were like, this nice person who can be manipulated into doing anything that they please, right? And now you're talking about your needs. So then, with every passing phase, every passing year, with as much time we have lost in that same kind of conditioning, the more time we stay there, the more difficult it keeps getting, right? Hence it is said for boundaries also, that it's always good to kind of establish those healthy boundaries in the first place, rather than then trying to manipulate them through years of living, right? Because then it is going to be becoming so much confusing for people also to understand, what is she wanting, what
Mm-hmm.
does he want,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So she
It's so
never
much
wished that
confusing.
before. Like, where is it coming from now? Because like that never been an issue. Always like they were always getting away from asking what they needed, and now suddenly she's asking for her own time. She's asking to do different things. She's trying
Yeah,
to doing things that they don't understand because it's something new. So,
absolutely.
so that is.
And it is also putting them at, disease. They are not at ease then, because they are used to a certain kind of living around you, and now they have to adjust their own life. Oh my god, she's going to go out for 5 hours, what do I do with this? I'll have to do so many chores of the house. Why? For all these 20-25 years I never did that. Now suddenly she's expecting me to do that, right? So
Mhm.
all of these things kind of are a major disturbance in life situations. And hence it's always easy, to kind of establish those boundaries upfront. Tell them when the first time it didn't go down well, and put a full stop to that before it becomes a huge issue in the house or
Mhm.
in the professional space, workspace.
Mm-hmm. And I think that goes back to like when I start to have this thought, like it's important to start doing it as early as possible, as young as possible. So the younger you are, to start like getting to know yourself, the better. So we should teach our daughters to know themselves like
Yeah,
early age, and especially when they go through like after, let's say, like even before high school and everything like this, but especially when they transition from being as from a school and becoming a young woman, that's when like really get to know what kind of family you want, what kind of profession you want, and what going to be your boundaries. So then, when you do have those transitions to having a job and having a partner and having kids, then you already have those boundaries set, and then you're not gonna have like this issue that we're talking about now. That nowadays a lot of women stay in their 40s, 50s, they having this issue where they neglected their true self, and now they have to rebuild it. But then
yeah.
if we start them up younger, like the viewers who are watching now and are younger, they can start it now and then they're not gonna run to this problem later.
Absolutely. And I think I would like to add just one more word here. That would be, it's not just about knowing, it's also about accepting yourself for who you are, right? Because only then can you honor it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you will be rifted into, the various asks that society is asking of you. Sometimes your parents are going to expect you to do something. Sometimes your husband is going to expect you to do something. Sometimes kids are going to expect you to do something. This is personal space. And the same is going to get translated in your work front,
Mhm.
in your offices also. Sometimes peers are going to say something. Sometimes your subordinate is going to say something. Your reporting manager is going to say something. So you will be like that rolling drum with no say of her own, right? So
Mhm.
rather than kind of getting that switched, make it easy for them also to know what is it that they can expect of you, what is it that they can ask of you, right?
Mhm.
And you also set that up for yourself so that it is so much more easier for you to kind of reorganize your priorities, understand what holds importance, and put your energy in the right spaces rather than investing them here, there, everywhere, and then get energetically and emotionally exhausted.
Hmm. And I like there's like one uh like say like exercise that people get to do for when they getting in like a partner in their life, like husband, or like not even husband yet, like when they start dating or something, to have like to make two different lists, which one is the list that's like what they want from life and what their values are. Another one, what is the boyfriend's list and all the things and their values and what they want to have in their life, and
Yeah,
then have the mutual ones in the middle as well, and see how they like they work together. Because usually what happens, either one side goals are more important, another side goals are more important, and they work it on it separately.
yeah,
But they should honor
yeah,
both sides goals, and then have mutual goals.
right.
So they have to like,
Absolutely.
I think that's a good starting point for a relationship that leads to marriage, or in a marriage, like what like you respect both of their personalities and both true selves, and then also family values together.
Absolutely. And not just marriage. I think that can extend to every dimension of your life. If you know what stands valuable to you, right? You can make those choices. And to add to that exercise of yours, I think I do this often with my clients. I ask them to build a list of non-negotiables for them, right?
Oh,
Uh,
that's good.
yeah, if they are choosing a job, if they are dating a person, if they are considering a new relationship in their life, whatever that dimension might be, if they are taking up a new task also, right? When you are ending up signing up for a new project or a new assignment also,
Mhm.
or you are onboarding a new team member also, for hiring needs also, everywhere this plays such a huge role. What are your non-negotiables?
Hmm.
Right? So before anything else, mutual is going to come at a later stage. But what are your non-negotiables, right? So if somebody is falling in that zone, yeah, who wants to cut out that non-negotiable aspect of your fulfillment or your values, then that is definitely a red flag.
Hmm. That's a good thought, because that's actually what I should be doing. Like that's I never thought about this for non-negotiables.
Yeah,
I like that.
right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't thought about it this way, and I think that's what I'm gonna have to make that list.
awesome. I'm happy that's landing. And we talk about having those boundaries flexible, and that's for healthy relationships and all those things. But flexible boundaries also should be operating out of non-negotiables only, right? For non-negotiables, you have to have firm, strong, non-flexible boundaries. For rest of the things where you think that you are ready to change, transform, evolve, then have the flexible boundaries for healthy. That's when the equation is complete, right? Otherwise, if we kind of make those negotiations at every level, then we are set for losing our identity. Where is it that we hold that boundary to not change, right? I'm not going to transform inside out everything. I don't want to change certain aspects of me. What
Hmm.
about them? So
Hmm.
that needs to be brought to the forefront in everything that you do.
Hmm. Yeah, because I kind of lost a lot of myself. I'm divorced now, but like when I got married, like when I got in a relationship, I lost a lot of like myself attending to another person, and I think that's the biggest in the past. Like I think new generation women, maybe they're better, maybe I don't know, maybe they're not, but they we should teach them better, because that's
Absolutely.
when we get lost of like doing more of like what the other person wants instead of doing the things that more valuable for yourself.
Absolutely. And I think hence we are talking about so much of aware parenting these days, right? not just to the teenagers, but right from the time the child is born. We are so much more aware in how we are talking, what message are we giving to the children, what kind of environment are we building in the house, what is the takeaway for them, what are they seeing as acceptable, not acceptable, are they learning about setting boundaries, do they feel that they have the right to create those boundaries, right? And I'm talking about both genders, not just the women,
Yeah.
but both genders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we are also teaching them to be honoring themselves, the complete self, not just the needs to eat, dress up, but also the needs of emotions, right? The emotional needs, the thought needs. If you want a thinking partner, maybe that is a non negotiable for you. Why not honor that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
society is going to push you into believing that, oh, what's the big deal about it if the person doesn't talk? But if you are somebody who wants to have those deep conversations, it might be a non negotiable for you. Come
Mm-hmm.
on, learn to honor that, right? You deserve that rightfully. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to earn it, you deserve it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hold that true to yourselves.
Yeah, and that's why I like to think as well for the kids. It's important to like not to just give them what to think, but teach them how to think. That's how I think it's
Absolutely. Such
important.
a beautiful thing that you've said. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because what happens, like parents have certain things that they grow up with and their values and everything, and they just assume that their kids have to be doing the same. Especially, I bring it up with the fears, because like if the parents have certain fears, they project those fears on their kids, but their kids might not be afraid of those things, you know?
Absolutely.
And you should not be assuming that your kids will be scared of the same things that you're scared of.
Yeah.
That's the way I teach as well. Like I might say, or like they they can do things that you can't do, you know?
Yeah.
They completely like I have like one thing that I do with my daughter, she's young, but like I don't know all those new technologies, but I bring them up in a computer. Like I get like some 3D study project, like programs or something like this. I don't know how to use it, but I give it to my daughter and just tell her to figure it out because they grow up with technology and they can just figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
we had to learn it later in life, but they can figure it out in themselves. So I'm not putting that my limit on them.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's such a great thing to do as a parent, right? And I think that also brings up and opens up one dimension that, it shouldn't be vice versa also. Maybe we are okay with something and they are not.
Mm,
Can we honor that? Can we respect their choice of not going that way,
that's
right? And
true.
not pushing them to accept what we have accepted in our life, because
Hmm.
that goes down very deep in life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's important. But
Yeah.
like, think about like for the men, because I'm thinking like how the men will go around. Like, how would men know themselves better? Because we know
I
from
think for, yeah, I think for men, the first thought that comes to my mind is accepting themselves as an emotional being, right? There is no such thing as men can feel, not feel, women can feel, not feel. Yes, we, the both genders have their own feminine and masculine energy. Both of us have feminine energy and masculine energy,
Mhm.
right? Feminine energy is higher in women, masculine energy is higher in men. That's a difference. Honoring and accepting that difference,
Mhm.
we cannot deny the fact that both these individuals, men and women, are emotional beings. They are humans, right? So I think for women, for men, it is so much more important for them to see emotions as gifts, because we are all emotional beings, right? I so often hear this conditioning prevailing in society that men cannot show their emotions, they
Yeah.
shouldn't express their emotions, right? Without realizing that everything that anybody is doing, everything that a human is doing under the influence of some emotions.
Mhm.
Showing not showing is not in your control. You might wear a poker face and stand still in front of people, Imagining you're not showing your emotions, but your eyes cannot lie, they're going to show. Your body language is not going to hide that emotion. Your confidence, the way you carry yourself, the way you shake hand, all of this is emotions. How can you not deny that? Yeah. So the fact is that I think the biggest thing, if women were conditioned to earn their right to be or accepted and loved, I think men are conditioned to not show themselves, right? And if they are given that liberty, if they are given that freedom, they would be so much more complete and fulfilled in their life to accept emotions from other people also. We are co-creating a culture wherein a man and a woman can support each other through thick and thin
Yes.
more powerfully if they understand and allow emotions to prevail, right? And
Mhm.
it's scientific, right? Emotional intelligence is not just about understanding your own emotions, it's about understanding others' emotions. So if a man has not understood their own emotions, they'll obviously feel handicapped in understanding anybody else's emotion. And
Mhm.
what will happen? The need of a woman to be understood is definitely going to go unfulfilled with such a man who doesn't understand emotions. And vice versa. Because this man is not showing his emotions, so women cannot come and understand him. Because she's constantly frustrated that why is this guy not saying what is happening? Why is this not expressing what's happening, right? It's so much of confusion. Unnecessarily, we are complicating our lives. And it would be so much more simpler and easier to communicate, to translate, to hold that relationship together, not only in personal space, but also in professional space, if we can just accept our emotions, honor them, and see them as a gift of driving our energies in the rightful direction. Because feelings are the way our authenticity comes into being. Who we are is going to get expressed through that feeling. Emotions are biological in nature. You don't have a control on them, right? This is science, that emotions are biological like any other thing in your body. The digestive juices, the heart pumping, like you cannot control that. You cannot control your emotions. What you can do is through knowing your emotions, through accepting what you are feeling, you can build more resilience to, you know cross the challenges, to live through the challenges. You can become more agile in accepting the ups and downs of your life, and that is only empowering you to become a great leader. It's not taking away anything from you. It's
Mhm.
only giving you so much more dimensions
Power.
to be you, right? To be more powerful. Exactly.
And like that brings me up as well, actually, like with the emotions, the way it's being taught in society now, it's more for men to show negative emotions are more acceptable than for females to bring out negative emotions. But then for women to bring out lovable and positive emotions are more acceptable than for men to show those lovable and positive emotions. That was kind of in the past. It's changing, but like it's more like when the man is angry, it's kind of like it should not be and it's not right, but they more acceptable. But then when the woman is angry, but from the woman, they natural, like when they show love and all the thing, it's more common. And men, they feel awkward when they show like too much love and too much things like that, because like you said, it was before, it was like what emotions are manly, what emotions are womanly, but the emotions actually are the same.
Absolutely. And this is only the gender bias that we have
Yep.
created in society. This has no truth. Scientifically, there isn't anything like positive emotion or negative emotion. Emotions are emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions have a purpose. Like your digestive juices have a purpose to digest your food and provide you nutrition. You don't decide how much pepsin is going to get produced and how much lipase is going to get produced. No, it depends on the need of the body, and the body is intelligent to produce whatever digestive enzymes are required in the body. The same way, whatever experiences we are going through in life, our body is responding to those experiences based on our mindset, our perception of those experiences. And depending on that, how we are experiencing those challenges, those life situations, our body is responding by generating those emotions. Now, there isn't a negative emotion or a positive emotion. The thing is that a positive emotion is a messaging to your brain that everything that's going down in your life is going on fine. And negative emotion, so called, that we call it, is a message. It's like a messenger, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
telling you that something is off. Your authenticity is off. Your value system is off. Every time you feel guilt, shame, frustrated, resented, anger, it's your body telling you something is not right.
Something is not
Yeah.
right. That not
Yeah.
that
And that's
something
a
is wrong,
message.
like not that something is negative, but that something is not right. You're not feeling right about it.
Yeah, and you need to pay attention to that dimension. If you are feeling angry, what is that message? It's from some research it is identified there are 13 ways in which anger gets manifested, right? There are so many ways in which anger can get
Mm-hmm.
manifested. But what is this anger telling us? This anger is telling us that you are not okay with what is happening around you. you
Mm-hmm.
know you feeling like you're losing control, you feeling like things are not happening as per your desire, right? And that is where this anger is coming. Your anger is telling you that you want to sort things around to align with what your heart desires, to align with what you expect, to try to control things, right? Now there are two things that you can do around it. One, you can improve yourself to build a more mature perspective around control, around change, right? And accept different perspectives, accept different styles of doing things in around you, because of which you are feeling angry. For example, how is this lady taking out her toothpaste? This might be an anger trigger for somebody. How is this guy brushing his teeth? How is my wife putting that glass on the table? Why is that noise coming? Right? These are small, tiny things are triggering you because you want to control everything around you. And that's the message, right? So there is one opportunity for you to change yourself, to transform yourself, to become a better version of you who doesn't get triggered by these small things, rather accepts the other person as an individual who can have different ways of doing things. And the second thing is that if you are angry about something, that glass cracking, that ceiling falling, that plaster cracking, then it is telling you go get it repaired, right? That's what you
Mm-hmm.
can do about it.
Yep.
So, you know, all these emotions are opening up doors for doing something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a negative emotion, it's a message. It's
Yeah.
up to you how you receive that message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah,
So,
and like you were saying, if there's a message like something that makes you angry, a lot of people let it go, let it go, let it go, instead of fixing it, listening that message and fixing the problem. You know,
yeah. And we don't have to fix the emotion. We only have to fix the cause.
cause. Mm-hmm. Cause we were
Yeah.
just trying to say we're saying the same thing, the cause of
Right.
the emotion, and then
Right. And the most powerful thing that we can do is to accept that emotion, process it, receive that message. It's like, at your doorbell, if some courier guy comes and rings a doorbell and gives you a parcel, you're not going to slap him for bringing that parcel, right? You're not going to tell him you are a bad guy. You're going to receive the parcel, open it, see what's inside it, right? And then see what you want to do about it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, calling something, slamming something as negative and positive is like, you kicking that guy at her doorsteps.
That's what happens with some other people. Some other people who don't know how to process their emotion, they will slap that guy.
Absolutely.
Let's say that's example, but they would get the messenger and they hit the messenger instead of like fixing, like understanding what's the problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where the problems arise when they don't like understand their own emotion and they start taking it off on the messengers.
Right. Absolutely. And that's how the bottling and brooding phenomena happens. when we try to bottle up emotion, or when we try to, when we brood over it, right? Constantly thinking about that negative emotion, that thing, we are actually telling ourselves to put so much attention on the past things that are not controllable, or things that are beyond your purview of responsibility or control. You're trying to control somebody's action. That's not your responsibility. How
Mm-hmm.
somebody speaks to you, that's not your responsibility. You
Mm-hmm.
get to choose how you want to engage with them. That's your responsibility. If somebody shouts at you, their shouting is not your responsibility. It says nothing about you. But because we are personalizing it, we are assuming XYZ things around it, we take it personally and then get triggered into shouting back. Let
Mm-hmm.
me reply this person back with a louder noise, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what it does is an increased conflict, fight, right? Which is not solving the purpose, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't solving the purpose. It's triggering the other person's anger further up. It's triggering your anger further up. Resolution is not happening because you are anchoring on what happened and you're personalizing it to your heart, thinking that that person yelled at me and that was a disrespect towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're not addressing the issue at the heart,
Mm-hmm.
neither of the people, right? And sometimes this is like explosion wherein you are expressing that emotion. Sometimes we don't do that. We pile it up. Passive aggressive behaviors, hold it inside of our heart, think about that person in a negative way, send negative vibrations around it, constantly thinking negative things around it, but not having a constructive conversation to resolve the issue, resolve the challenge,
Yeah.
resolve the relationship conflict, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all these are actually examples of holding on to the emotion and not processing it. We
Mm-hmm.
can always process the emotion and make it constructively contribute to the direction you want your life to shape into.
Mm-hmm. And I think that let's go back to now, like what we call like positive emotions, but like again, there's no positive, negative, but there's good emotions. And with the same way with the like love and happiness and joyful emotions, same way we should show those freely to other people as well,
Absolutely.
because that same way creates like same way like the angry emotion, like when one is yelling, another one is yelling, one is yelling, another one is yelling. If one
Yeah.
person is having a good time, then he can make another person have a good time as well, and they will both like having a good time and doing a good things and showing their love to each other the same way. It works
Right.
the same way. It's like
Yeah.
the person does something good for you, and you feel like, oh, I want to do something good back. And then, like, it's just not that you have to, but it just creates the feeling that, oh, I want to do something for them as well. And then, again, like,
Absolutely.
how, like, because the same way it comes, like, okay, I want to do something good for somebody else now. And then I would like, same way, like, the good emotions and the love creates
Right.
more love as well.
Yeah. So it's like you're building the continuum, right? You're not contributing to the mess, but you're building a continuum of the things that you want to experience in life. So all of us want to experience love and happiness in our life, right?
Mhm.
We can't control the other person. But what we can do is we can build a continuum around that love and happiness by infusing love and happiness to that environment where we are present. So if we can imagine, I mean, I'll give you one visual example of that. If we can imagine that there is a container, right? And that container defines our life, right? You are part of that. I am part of that, right?
Okay.
If I am putting filth and dirt and adding mess to that container has some filth and dirt. But if you add that too, that container is going to have nothing else, right? But
Mhm.
if I add filth and dirt and you choose to add flowers and fragrances and love into it, right? It is going to be a lot less messier. And
Mhm.
maybe looking at you because you are adding flowers, I also get caught up in that thing and I get inspired to add flowers too. So
Mhm.
after one or two drops of that dirt and filth, I am also adding the flowers. So
Mhm.
that container is net positive in flowers,
Mhm.
not dirt and filth, right? This
Mhm.
is how we transform lives. This is how we contribute to the equation that we are part of, right?
Mhm.
And it is said that you get to play the part that you play in the life, right? You
Mhm.
don't push the other person to do that, you pull the other person towards it, right?
Mhm.
By your vibrations. And that's so
Mhm.
much more powerful than getting frustrated and pressing people to behave a certain way, because they're not going to accept. Their defenses are going to be right up. They will feel, why should I listen to you? Why do I have to follow what you say? I have my own brain, I have my own mind. I'm going to do what I want to do, right? But if you leave them to their own choice, you don't tease them, you don't disturb them, you let them put the garbage, you keep doing your thing. One day they will think, perhaps, but that's not a compulsion.
Yeah.
That shouldn't influence and stop you from doing your good. Yeah.
Mhm.
You keep doing the flowers. You should not get influenced by seeing them that, oh, he's adding garbage, let me also add garbage, right?
Mhm.
That's the influence we have to kind of cut out. But that's the influence we have also the power to create. Keep
Mhm.
adding the flowers. Maybe the other person starts adding the flowers too.
Mhm. Exactly. And that's where you have to like keep on like being yourself, where those negative things don't affect you because you know your values, you know yourself, and you don't let those other things that are not yourself
Yeah.
to change you.
Right. See, I'll give you one more example that's coming to my mind. How often do we hear from people that I did this for this person? I helped this person, but this person never acknowledged. This person never came and thanked me. This person never, gave it back to me when I was in need, right? Now, what we are trying to see here is that I did this. This is the message that we are giving to ourselves and everybody around, that I helped the other person to get the help in return or to get the acknowledgement or praise in return, right? Now, the intention is not help. The intention is your need to get praise, right?
Mhm.
Now, think about it. How much more powerful will it be if you release this need for praise and you do your thing? Because then other person's act of not helping you back or not giving it back to you doesn't change you as a person, because you help the person might as well be your value.
Mhm.
So it'll help you stay authentic. You are not going to be pressed to change yourself. So I am a kind person. I like to help people. Just because somebody is not acknowledging my help shouldn't be a reason for me to change and stop helping other people.
Yep.
And we often do that, right? And that's how we let negativity influence us in losing our authenticity. That's not
Mhm.
who we are. We are not that selfish person. We are not that person who's not going to help other person. But
Mhm.
just because that past experience played a manipulation in our head that people don't thank, let me not help. You've just changed yourself.
Yeah.
You've just let go of your value, and your fulfillment is definitely depleted. So in either case, you are the receiver of your deeds, right? And
Mhm.
that's the only thing that you can control.
Mhm. And that's being true to yourself.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's the only way to find happiness and fulfillment.
Mhm.
Because we cannot, how much ever we try, we cannot change the other person. We cannot, get them to do things we want them to do. It is only going to create rift and pressure, and it is going to burden them. Rather, leave them free, because that's what you also want, right? Ask yourself what you want. You want to be free. You want to do what you want to do, correct? That's
Mhm.
the same thing that the other person also wants. Can you liberate them? Can you just allow them to be themselves and keep doing the good that you want to do and
Mhm.
see the magic?
Yeah.
You'll relieve so much pressure of the equation.
Mhm. We're getting towards the end as well. Like, I want to give you some time to talk about like more of the things that you do and how people can connect with you. I have your one website here. Is what people can find from this website.
All right. So Galords.com is my organization where executives who are looking for executive growth, executive presence, leadership development, leadership transformation can contact me here, drop me an email, and on board for a coaching assignment, on board for a coaching consultation with me. That is this website. The other website is,
Website is for the
yeah,
project that's coming up you
yeah,
organizing.
absolutely. So this is the website where it's specifically directed towards women, and it helps. This project is around helping women reclaim themselves and build happy, peaceful homes. Right? That's what we all want, right?
Mhm.
While we honor our own needs. So a woman who's going to work is expected to be at work, by the colleagues, subordinates, and reporting managers and organizations. When she comes back home, people expect her to, do all their chores and all of these things without worrying about the work that she's done, right? All of that is fine. But what happens to the woman? She's one person, right? Where is it that she gets to process all of those things? How does she handle the transitions and requirements that are emotional, thought level, work level, all of those things? How does she manage all of those things? So I'm doing a free masterclass this Friday. People can register on this link and attend my free masterclass. And all the details about the masterclass are present on this page. If they feel like, there are a lot of freebies that are available that they can get benefited with by doing it themselves. I also have a community on Facebook, which is a free community,
Mhm.
which they can join. There is also something that they can do is sign up for my community, which is a paid membership, which is a lifetime access. And for that, they can ask me by writing at mrinal@galorus.com or connect@mrinalpareek.com. Any of these email IDs, they can write to me and I will help them with the membership details, which is a lifetime access. And they get to work with me in a group setting for their entire life by just paying a base minimal fee and become a lifetime member of my community, to learn, to evolve, to transform, and to get supported through multiple masterminds that we would be bringing to the community.
Mm-hmm. And I have like I believe I have all those links in the description as well. And you're gonna put that
Yes,
other link for the master class in the comments as well. So if anybody wants
yes,
any of those links, they're gonna be in the descriptions and in the
absolutely.
comments. And
Yeah.
if you have anything that you want to say about the topic and emotions and knowing about yourself, leave those comments. And I usually, not usually, but I always end the show with asking the guest the question: what is happiness for you? Your definition of happiness, yours.
Yes, very powerful.
So, what is your definition of happiness? Can you hear me still?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were addressing the audience. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Okay, my
yeah.
yeah, my definition of happiness is always associated with the values, the things that I value, right? And becoming aware of how those values are showing up for me. Example, it's an ongoing evolution to know yourself, right? You never know yourself fully. For example, one of my values is responsibility, right? And as I be responsible in my different roles and responsibilities, I also need to be responsible towards my own needs. If I'm going to be irresponsible at any of those angles, I'm going to feel unfulfilled. So, what I understood of this by working on myself towards this, through this value towards my happiness, is that you don't need to know everything. You can find out one thing and then explore how that applies to so many other things. And that got me to learn about one very powerful strength of mine, and that is responsibility. I am a very responsible person.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I feel stuck, every time I am in a middle of a crisis, challenge, anything like that, I ask myself with empathy, with a lot of love, Mrinal, what is it that you can feel responsible towards as you experience this challenge? And that's where I get the answer. So, responsibility is helping me address all the challenges, live my life through happiness, through possibilities, without feeling pressured and overwhelmed of achieving everything. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a flip side that I want to, share here with the audience, and that is that sometimes we push and pull the values and strengths beyond the required. For example, again, taking the same example, my value and my strength is responsibility. So it is very obvious that whenever I'm experiencing challenges, I try to expand my responsibility beyond the required. I cross my boundaries. I try to fix things that are not my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I try to feel, I automatically feel responsible for things that I'm not responsible for. For example, if somebody misbehaves, I start inquiring in myself that what did I do wrong that this person behaved with me this way, right? I at times feel responsible for the other person's behavior, which is a big red flag to address. So that also contributes to self awareness, to identify when are you overdoing your strengths, when are you overstretching your values to trespass in other person's boundary. So I think becoming aware of one strength, one value is enough, and then kind of explore it around yourself with a lot of love and acceptance and vision to grow and expand yourself to become your best version. Everything becomes so much more easy, possible, and simple.
Mm-hmm. And another question I have for you is name just like a few things in everyday life that make you feel happy. Simple things. I want to.
Absolutely. So, one thing that I value the most is my family. So,
Mhm,
my family time, the time that I spend with my daughter is precious. The time
mhm,
that I spend with my husband is precious. The calls that I make to my family members, my parents, my siblings, they're precious, right? They
mhm,
make me feel a lot more happier.
mhm,
My friends are very close to me. I value them dearly, right? So, I keep checking on them,
mhm,
right? I ask them for a conversation, and then I keep checking on them. How are they doing? Where are they? What are they doing? What are they finding good? What are they finding challenging? And just having those gentle conversations around life, around, generally catching up also infuses a lot of happiness. I'm also very conscious of my well being and health. So
mhm,
doing things towards my well-being also infuses me with a lot of happiness. Doing regular exercises, taking care of the nutrition, taking care of the food in the right time, right proportion, eating balanced diets, all of that is is a validation that I am on the right track and I am doing well for myself, recognizing myself and valuing myself. So all these things put a lot of joy and happiness in my heart.
mhm. I love that answer. Okay, thank you so much, Myrnal, to joining us today. And
Thank you, Pirit, for having me. It was indeed an honor, and I love the conversation that we had today.
yeah, I think we got a lot of value. Hopefully, all the viewers got a lot of value out of it as well. It's this information is so valuable. Okay, thank you everybody for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit like and share it with your friends, because when you share it to somebody, you can if you help one person by hearing the right words, you changing already a lot of things in the world by helping just one person. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Mernal, and
Thank you, Pirit, for having me, and it was a pleasure sharing this space with you. Thank you for bringing out so much more value from me also, as you asked just the great questions, and we could have a very enriched discussion around the topic.
thank you everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.